Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Allen. I'm the hockey columnist for USA Today, and you're looking live at the ice at the new PPG Paints Arena. I'm going to have a hard time remembering not to call that the Console Arena, but tonight the Penguins will have their home opener and their banner-raising ceremony. They'll play against the Washington Capitals, and it's game one, but it already feels like it's a big game. Obviously, both the Caps and the Penguins are going to be vying for first place in the Metropolitan Division this season. And as everyone remembers, just last June, the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, and they'll be attempting to do something that people have not done, our team has not done in 20 years, and that is almost 20 years, and that is repeat as Stanley Cup champions. And it's way early here. The people haven't even started to come into the arena yet. You're having a look at press row, and not even the media is here this early as well. But it's supposed to be a big night. If you listen to the radio here in town, there's a lot of interest, as everyone knows. Sidney Crosby, of course, has a concussion, and he will not be able to play tonight. But, even though you never quite know what's going to happen with the concussion. The USA Hockey's chief medical officer, Dr. Michael Stewart, puts it best when he deals with patients who have concussions. They always want to know, well, how long will I be out, Doc? And he always tells them between 2 weeks and forever. And the point of that, obviously, is that it's just hard to predict what's going to happen with concussions. And as we all know, Sidney Crosby has a history of concussions. Now, saying all that, and I'm certainly not a medical expert, but the signs are that this will be a short-term situation. I think the fact that Sidney Crosby is already back on the ice, practicing with the team, and also the fact that he met with the media, I think, are all indications that this will be a short-term situation. Now, you never know for sure. But certainly, all indications is that he's going to be back in the lineup pretty soon. Although it will not be tonight. Bryan Rust is another Penguins player that we now have a testing of the audio system here at the new PPG Paints Arena. So hopefully that's not going to be a long-term thing, or I'm going to have difficulty doing this report. But Bryan Rust is another player that everyone is waiting to see when he'll be back. He was important, a role player for the Penguins going into the playoffs last season. So I think the report on him is that he shall be back, pretty quickly. It'll be a short-term situation for him as well. I'm going to move down a little bit to see if we can escape this.
Introducing PPG Paints Arena, home of your Pittsburgh Penguins.
Check out the headset in the truck. That's good. They would love to.
Well, hopefully this is a little bit better. This is obviously a little bit better. This is an important game as well for the Washington Capitals. They want to get off to a great start. The big thing about the Capitals is, can they repeat the great season they had last season? With Holtby in goal, having just a phenomenal season. And I think the expectation for the Capitals is still very, very high. I think it's going to be hard for them to be, quite as effective as they were a year ago, because I think the teams in the Eastern Conference have improved, but I still think they're going to be at a pretty high level. So I think for the Capitals, it's important they get off to a great start, and the key to that is obviously, Alex Ovechkin, who's certainly been probably the best goal scorer, is the best goal scorer of this generation. So, as you can see, another look at the arena here, and they're testing everything out, getting ready for the banner raising, which will be about 8 o'clock tonight. All day long, there's been like a sea of Pittsburgh Penguins fans throughout the city. Everybody wearing. I think the Penguins probably lead the NHL in apparel. Like, it's almost like 100% participation when it comes to wearing Penguins gear when you go to the game. Like, it's just like you see no one without it. So, I think their fandom, it doesn't take a back seat to even to the Canadian teams. Canadian teams probably have to rate in terms of fandom as among the top teams in the league, but the Penguins certainly are among them. So before we talk a little bit more about the Penguins, I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened last night with Austin Matthews getting 4 goals in the game in his NHL debut for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think that anyone is surprised that he had a good game, but I think everyone's shocked that he ended up with 4 goals. He's the first player in NHL history ever to accomplish that feat. We've had players that have had 3 goals in a game, including another American, Derek Stepan of the New York Rangers, but we've never had anyone with 4 goals in their NHL debut. So, this is was a record-setting precedent that was established last night. And, even among the star players, like Alex Ovechkin had 2 goals in his NHL debut, but not even the great Alex Ovechkin, who's the greatest goal scorer of this generation, could support a game of that magnitude. So, the big question now is, what sort of season could Matthews have? And I think even though he scored 4 goals, I don't think we should get too carried away. Like, I think he's going to have an incredible first season, and I would assume he'll be at the 60-point level or above. Now, how much higher than he can go than that remains to be seen. It's not like he's playing on a great team. I would be shocked if the Maple Leafs contend for the playoffs. I mean, they're in the midst of a rebuilding era, but clearly they're not far enough along in that. So I would say, 60 to 65 points would be, an exceptional season. I think he'll certainly be in the Rookie of the Year hunt. There's a lot of good rookies this season, so I would assume we'd have to consider him a front runner. And, how good he can be over the course of his career, I would say that when he came out, I think there was a couple of comparisons. There were some comparisons to Peter Forsberg because of his ability to protect the puck, and I think that's an apt comparison. Of course, there's also a comparison to Mike Modano, who probably was the top center of the greatest hockey generation, excluding Pat LaFontaine, who came along a little bit earlier, who certainly is in that mix. But Mike Modano certainly being the leading American scorer, pretty much his credentials are you can't be any better than he's been. So I would say a Mike Modano Forsberg situation. The other question I'm going to ask often is, will he be as good as Connor McDavid? And I think they're 2 different players. McDavid's going to blow by opponents with his speed, and I think Matthews plays a bit more of a power game. He's very good in traffic. He's bigger than McDavid, obviously, and I think that's an important aspect. So I think the bottom line is they're both going to be exceptional players, and right now it's just way too early to sort of determine who's going to be better. I mean, Connor McDavid is also a generational player. Comparisons to Sidney Crosby are not unwarranted for Connor McDavid, and I think this season he'll even compete for the NHL scoring championship. I think some people think it may take him another year, but I think he's going to be right there this season. I think he'll be north of 80 points. I think the Oilers are a little bit better now. Their defense is a little more solid. I think Peter Chiarelli has done a good job there, and I think he's added some players that I think will make that team more stable. So, I think it's not unreasonable to think he'll contend for the scoring championship. And that'll about do it here from Pittsburgh. I'll give you one more lap at the arena as they get ready here. We've still got a long time before game time. I would expect the lines tonight to, the Bovino, Hagelin, Kessel line will remain intact for the Penguins, and I'm sure we'll see Malkin playing with Hornquist and maybe Cullen, of course, moving up to perhaps the third line, centering that line, and then Eric Fehr being on the fourth line. So, and they're testing the ice now. There's a couple of guys walking on it to see what the conditions are like. So, it's pretty quiet in here now, but it's going to be rocking when that banner's raised. So, this is Kevin Allen live at the new PPG Paints Arena. That's a new name for the arena. It's been the Consol Arena since it was open, so we'll just have to get used to that. But this is Kevin Allen reporting from Pittsburgh. Thank you much for listening.